The kitchen as a collection of furniture. Every once in a while, somebody comes up with an idea that makes so much sense that you can't understand why it has not been thought of before. Unfitted kitchen furniture that has been promoted by the English designer Johnny Gray, as well as other cabinet designers and manufacturers, may well be one of those ideas. By redefining kitchens into pieces of furniture, a previously popular but currently underexplored area in kitchen design has been rediscovered. Furniture is an appropriate concept for kitchens because it allows us to personalize our kitchens, to mix styles creatively, and to carry the design themes of other rooms into the kitchen. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the design principles that are involved when designing kitchens with furniture rather than built-in cabinetry. But we're going to start off here with a brief history of the furniture in kitchens. Let's just keep this simple. I believe that history has a precedent for everything we do. Our basic human needs have not changed all that much over time. We still need food, clothing, and shelter from the elements. Throughout the millions of years of the development of man, these simple needs have not changed. But in the last blip on the timeline, the blip that we live in, from the Industrial Revolution on, man has become intimately involved with technology. Technology has redefined our needs. And like most everything else, the transformation from campfire to today's kitchen is defined by technology. The early predecessors to today's kitchens focused around the fire source. In this English cottage kitchen, still in use today, a built-in iron fire insert, complete with oven and hot water heater, is featured with a separate built-in sink area. Other furnishings in this room define it as the hub of the home, where many activities occurred. Both pieces are separated by wall and floor areas. This kitchen features an early example of how water finally was supplied directly into the home. Prior to this, water was bucketed in from an outside source. Notice the work table and the plate rack to the left. Both are independent of each other. The spaces between these elements allow for other smaller items, here like the assorted containers, to be placed. All the elements combined have an impromptu sculptural quality. Here's an example of one of the first mass-produced pieces of kitchen workstation furniture. It was called a Hoosier, and many are still in service today. It was originally a baking center when the production of bread was still a home-based chore. In its heyday, the only other items in the kitchen were a sink, an icebox, and a cooking source, typically a coal or wood cast iron stove, and later a gas range. This is a newly renovated but retro-style kitchen in a bungalow-style house. Notice that the sink and range are independent pieces, but cabinetry is starting to fill the gaps between the utilities. This is a great example showing the integration of cabinetry directly into the kitchen. Prior to this, cabinetry was typically only found in the butler's pantry. To the right, two furniture-like cupboards still exhibit some of the characteristics of independent pieces of furniture. The storage capacity of the tall cupboards allows the remainder of the kitchen to remain quite open, negating the need for upper cabinets everywhere. The resurgence of kitchen furniture is an exception to the normal chain of events that has created the inline kitchens of today. Technology hasn't created it. Rather, it's a result of conscious effort that says no to the format of the inline kitchen. It has resurfaced because someone took the time to question the way things were going. Someone took a step back and found a jewel that has been neglected for a long time. Without rejecting technology, an entirely different way of creating a kitchen environment has been rediscovered simply by separating functions once again. In this example, note the abundance of light that the large windows bring into this room. Note the pictures on the wall. By separating the furnishings, the kitchen can have all the room-defining characteristics of the other rooms you see in your house. So let's find out how workstation design really works. There really are only two main features to consider: the autonomy of the individual pieces and the spaces between the pieces. But the spaces are the real key. The spaces define the room. Seeing the continuity of the architectural features running between the pieces allows the character of the room to be uncompromised. Soffits and wing walls do not break up the lines of the room. Crown molding, chair rails, peg rails, paneling, wainscoting, and bases that appear between each piece remind us that the design is part of the larger whole. Seeing the post of a post and beam structure go all the way to the floor between the pieces of furniture keeps the order of the structure intact. Designing with workstations is a completely different approach to kitchen design. It's the ultimate 3D design experience. Here, separating each piece from one another allowed the designer to bring in a lot of light and preserve the character of the room. It's the spaces that allows this to occur. The spaces are the unifying element in the design. Separating each piece from another allows the designer to mix different styles, colors, and materials. Look at the butcher block next to the stainless steel cart. Again, it's the spaces that allows this to occur. Conversely, the individual pieces do not always need to be so different. An understated room design can be quite successful by using a collection of furniture pieces with similar features. In this case, spaces between the units are used to provide diversity. Varying the heights and depths of the individual pieces is recommended whenever individual pieces are in a tight arrangement. When pieces are located on the same wall, varying the sizes is mandatory. This shaker-style kitchen is a great example of how the spaces can be used to enhance the personality of the design. There are many colors and textures in this room, but it's the wall and floor treatment that function as the glue that holds the whole design together. The continuity between an adjoining room in the foreground is shown in the next photo, and the kitchen is not cut off at the edge of the cabinetry as the room surfaces flow in and between the units. It's best to have a maximum of 2 to 4 major pieces in the kitchen, separated by minor, which means shorter or shallower pieces, or large architectural features like doors, windows, built-in shelving, fireplaces, things like that. The play of heights and depths guarantees the variety that's necessary, and the more low units the better. Island units function like the floating furniture in a typical room design. The volume of the pieces are an important consideration too. It's better to mix pieces that have legs into the composition than to design a composition that only has full, bulky pieces. Tables, carts, baker's racks, open shelving, chopping blocks are great open volume items to design into the composition. You can get creative with this. The autonomy of each piece allows some very interesting things to happen when compared to inline design. First of all, the pieces do not have to match each other in any way. Style, size, proportion, color, texture, finish, and the symmetry of the pieces can vary. The balance of the individual pieces is not overbearing as small pieces are placed between larger ones, and the wall color holds the whole design together. The balance of the design and of each piece is required to make the design flow. Balance allows each piece to be easy on the eye. Conversely, if each piece is extremely intricate to the point where the eye gets stuck looking at certain details, the whole design will be uncomfortable to the eye. A room full of very ornate pieces of different styles will be less successful than a room with simpler pieces that share common features. Remember that when you're creating a room setting, you're creating a whole look. The workstations do not necessarily have to be the main statement in the room in order for the design to be successful. In fact, this is a very important point. Many times the most successful design will feature us, the users, and the room and furniture will simply be our stage set. On a smaller scale, balance has to do with detailing and weight. Furniture must look as though it's supported from the ground, not hung from the wall. Its weight should be recognizable. This does not mean it must look bulky and heavy. Styling and color will determine the appearance of light versus heavyweight. But its gravity must be recognizable. Furniture must have a base, a top or cornice, and a minimum of 2 finished sides. An individual piece of furniture is a 3-dimensional object. It needs to be designed as if it were a piece of sculpture, and this is perhaps its biggest departure from inline design. Let's talk about the construction of workstations. Typically, furniture is built differently than most cabinetry. Most importantly, it's movable. It must be tougher and stronger than cabinetry because it can potentially move several times in its lifetime. It's more 3-dimensional. It does not need to be made of box modules and attached panels. It can be made as one unit, with no joints where boxes join together. Side panels can be integrated into the framework rather than the attached to the sides. A word about countertops. Remember that since you're creating individual pieces, you can allocate different countertop surfaces to various tasks. Stone tops near the cooktop and ovens allow hot pots to rest directly on the surface. Solid surface composites, stone, or even wood are great near the sink. Marble can be used on a piece that is to function as a baking center. You may even use laminates as multi-purpose tops, but you can change colors and patterns to define the individual pieces. Or for the ultimate furniture look, there really is nothing that beats the look of natural wood. And there are extremely durable finishes that can be used on wood tops that make them quite practical for kitchen use. The point is, you can use different materials for functional as well as visual requirements. And with care, you can blend them into the same kitchen, something that is difficult to do in an inline kitchen. Eliminating the wall-hung top cabinets, prevalent in typical inline design, is one of the most effective ways to convert a kitchen into a personalized room. Here, the open wall space creates the opportunity to display artwork and other treasures, and the pendant lights add light down low to the surface, which is the same technique that you would normally find in the rest of the house. Lamp lighting is low to the surface. When recessed task lighting is required, use focus beam spotlights instead of floods. Wall sconces and wall-mounted downlights are another method to use to eliminate the laboratory look of typical soffit-mounted kitchen lighting. When kitchens don't have upper cabinets, it allows the designer to bring in more personality and character to the room, just as this fine collection of art provides a focal point for this room. Notice the coordinating color of the picture frames that complement the stove's black color. Even the rounded shapes on the wall coordinate with the rounded corners of the stove. And the variety of the shapes enhance the interesting look of this kitchen. Please continue this presentation in another video entitled Kitchen Workstation Furniture Design Principles Part 2.